Hi, thank you for joining us for Monday Encouragement video. So last week we spoke about the fact that not every encounter with God has to do with a conversation. Sometimes we just need to be quiet and let Him speak, let Him do what He needs to do. So this week I'm going to be looking at Mark chapter 1, verses 12 and 13a, and then also Matthew 4, verse 11. So Mark 1:12 says, "Immediately the Spirit drove him into the wilderness, and he was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted by Satan, and was with the wild beasts." And so we see here the backstory of this is that Jesus is he's just been baptized, and the Holy Spirit pushes him into the wilderness, and he's there for 40 days, and then Satan comes and Satan starts tempting him. And what he does is that, he allows the Holy Spirit to push that word through him, push that word out of him. And so when he's hit with that temptation, he pushes the word out, and that's how he overcomes the temptation of the enemy. And then in Matthew chapter 4, verse 11, it says, "And the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him." So after he's tempted by the devil these 3 times with different situations, different scenarios, he uses the word that is in him, that is him, and the Holy Spirit pushes it out of him. He defeats the devil's temptations, and then he starts his ministry. And sometimes as single mothers, we feel that we're in a wilderness. And if we are believers, then sometimes the Holy Spirit will push us, will lead us into a wilderness, not to hurt us, not to tempt us, because God doesn't tempt us. But say, for example, you're dealing with a rebellious teen. Okay, so now because you're being led by the Spirit, you can be pushed into this wilderness where it might be easier just to conform and just to pacify this rebellious teen, just to give in. But as we're parenting, we know that we're parenting with eternity as our focus. We know that we cannot be a party to this rebellious individual's outcome, this rebellious individual's downfall. And in the same hand, we know that we have to give an account to God for our parenting. So sometimes when we find ourselves in the wilderness and we're being led by the Spirit into the wilderness because we're in this tough place, this is when we now have to rely on the same Spirit to push that word through us, that that word can be activated in us, that we can stand firm. We see in the case of Jesus when he was in the wilderness, after everything was said and done, after he resisted the devil and he fled from him, then he was ministered to. In the whole time that he was in the wilderness, he was strengthened, and God provided for him. The Holy Spirit pushed that word out of him. He overcame the enemy. And then it says that the angels came and ministered to him. And what I find so fascinating is right after this, he starts his ministry. Right after this, he steps into another level of God's purpose, plan, expectation for his life. So this week, I just want to encourage you. If you feel as if you've been led into a wilderness by the Spirit, trust that same Spirit to push that word out of you, to push that word through your body. That's going to strengthen you, that's going to encourage you, that's going to provide for what you need in that wilderness. And just know that as we resist that enemy, he flees from us, and then we step into a new dimension, into a new level of God's purpose, plan, and expectation for our lives. Have a blessed week, and I will see you next week, Monday. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at Vashti's house. The information is on the screen. And if you have any prayer requests, please feel free to reach out to the ALM Thursday prayer gathering. Their information is on the screen also.